Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talking Ted Lasso for the final time for now, Janine. Or really, and I'm going to start today's, well, it feels like a finale episode of Talking Ted Lasso, doesn't it? With a bold statement by saying that I think this should be the final episode of Talking Ted Lasso because, quite frankly, I think this season 3 finale should be the show finale of Ted Lasso.
Okay.
And that's knowing precious little about season 4 and the plans for season 4, as nobody does really at this point. They've only given us very few details of what to expect in minimal story terms. But this season 3 finale, which we're going to be talking about today, So Long Farewell, is the perfect way to end the whole show. And I cannot understand for the life of me how they can think about coming back after everything that happens in that. It is such, to me, it feels like such a tight little bow that has been tied. It is a wonderful, wonderful finale, and I genuinely fear that the impact of it will be diminished by anything to come in the future, even if what comes in the future is as positive as we would expect it to be out of Ted Lasso.
Okay, so you're seeing
I
season
really
4.
do just think, I think so highly of the end of this season that it just concerns me a little bit.
Okay, so you're viewing Ted Lasso season 4 as like Toy Story 4.
Little bit, yeah. Just a weird one that never really should have happened. A few years later, Toy Story 4 was. I mean, it must have been quite significantly later. But then again, Toy Story 3 was significantly after Toy Story 2. So who's to say?
Yeah.
Who's to say? But yeah, I really think this was just such a wonderful. I mean, a wonderful couple of episodes, to be fair. The penultimate episode is pretty strong as well. It really, really is. I do think season 3 as a whole has been the most consistently strong season as well of the 3. Just in terms of mega impactful episodes. And the only person that was far too absent for my liking from the whole thing was Dr. Sharon, who comes back, in the finale for like 5 minutes of screen time just to show some celebration and support
for the team. And
then when she does, I'm like, where have you been, Sharon, for the entire time? You've not been here. The show didn't want you for some reason, and I can't understand why the show didn't want you. You were so great in season 2. You built season 2, so why can we not allow that to continue? And I suppose, given the finale, Dr. Sharon's involvement in Richmond does continue, but she was the only downside of, the lack
her
of
not
her
being
was
there.
the downside of season 3 for me. I've loved every second, really, of Ted Lasso. It's been a great show to cover on this show. Morgan hasn't seen TV, of course. I imagine you think the exact same.
Yes, I mean, that's why I did this show. I thought it would play into everything that you enjoyed. And
I don't enjoy football. Let's remember that. I don't actually enjoy football.
You are a slave to football.
Yes, it just belongs within me.
Yes, but you are aware of it. You know the game, so you could get into those aspects of the show really well.
Yes.
And then just also kind of the character arcs and the focus on mental health and those things I think are important as well. And it's just also a very feel good show that brings up a lot of kind of relatable things. So I knew you were going to really enjoy this show, and so it was very much like, I need you to watch this show because I know you're going to enjoy it. So I'm glad we've made it to the end for now. And I'm glad you've liked this show very much because it is a great show. So it's kind of sad to not have Talking Ted Lasso, at least for a little while, until whatever's happening with season 4 happens. But Yeah, it's been a fun little journey, and this has probably been my favorite rewatch because I think I've rewatched it maybe 2 other times before this, so,
Okay, well,
yeah.
it's a frequent rewatch for you because it's not really that old a show.
No.
So it's a really, a real favourite, which is good. And of course, Talking Ted Lasso will be being replaced here on Morgan Hasn't Seen
Yes.
TV on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. Do subscribe and ding your notification bell. Of course, it will be being replaced for the time being with a new show. Not necessarily a new show, a show that in
No.
admittance is, well, is it a new show? Is it an old show? Is it a very, very old show? Is it
I
perhaps
mean,
one of
it's
the longest running television shows of all time, but then goes through various eras of whether you consider that to be one full show or this to be a new show of the same show, and it's all very confusing. It will make perfect sense, though, when you
yes,
see the announcement of what we will be covering on
yes.
Morgan Hasn't Seen TV. It will not be a Morgan Hasn't Seen TV is the most glaring statement that we must make. It will be a Janine has partially seen TV, is what I'm probably going to call it tongue in
Yes.
cheek.
Yes, yeah.
Janine has seen up to a minimal point, we could also call it.
Yes.
Janine has certainly not seen it at any great length, which we could
No,
also say.
no.
But we're doing it anyway because it will be very exciting. It will promote great discussion, and you all should be very excited for it. I think as
I
excited
mean,
as I am to
should we
finally
tell
have
them?
more knowledge of a movie than you, or of a
Uh,
show than you.
yes. I mean, should we tell them at the end of the show?
We could tell them at the end of the show. To be fair, we could tell them at the end of the show, but there will be an announcement post going across all
Yes,
the social medias, of course, that you can find
yes.
scrolling down at the bottom of the screen. And we will be promoting it to all hell before we begin our new show. But we must get in to Ted
Yes.
Lasso now, and season 3, episode 11, which is called Mom City, not Mum
Yeah.
City or Mother City or even Manchester City, even though we wouldn't want it to be called Manchester City. Why have City always been this big thing? Here's Pep Guardiola's appearance in the show, by the way, that you've been telling me
Oh, yeah.
happens now for 3
Yeah.
seasons,
Yes.
which admittedly was very nice. I mean, credit to Pep for actually doing this. We don't like Guardiola in this household as
Eh?
United fans, but we respect him for being the genuinely phenomenal football manager he is, and
Yes.
probably a decent person. Just a City manager, so that's the issue, really.
Yeah.
You'd love him at your club. He's kind of one of those. You'd
Okay.
love him. He's just managing City. So credit to Pep for doing that and coming into Ted Lasso and giving Ted some nice little words at the end of their
Yeah.
game in this episode, because it's a very, very well played game from Richmond, and it's a
Mhm.
massive episode. I mean, these are 2 massive episodes we're
Yeah.
talking about today. Very long, they're both like an hour and 10, if not an hour
Well,
15.
yeah, a lot happens. They take the time to kind of wrap everything up, and, like, I was watching and I'm like, "How much more is left?" And it was still, like, a big
Yeah.
chunk, so, yeah.
You do, but I think the most significant thing, or the 2 most significant things going on in episode 11, in the penultimate episode, are both to do with mothers, I suppose. That's why it's
Mhm.
called what it's called. Ted's mum comes to visit, which
Yeah.
is out of the blue and shocks Ted, and everybody else is very excited. Everybody else is enamored by
Yeah.
Ted's mum, but there's a little bit of tension from Ted's part, and
Mhm.
that's interesting to get into. And then, of course, Jamie, who is going through it with the prospect of going back to Manchester to face City, obviously his old side. We know what the City fans think of Jamie Tartt. They
Mhm.
let him have it in this episode to a a degree that I'm
Yeah.
watching it going, well, this is typical City fans, isn't it? This makes
Ooh.
sense. Look at them
Oh,
all,
no.
awful
Yeah.
people. But
How quickly they turn on folks. Yeah.
how quickly they turn on somebody who has never bad-mouthed Manchester City, has just simply left the club.
Yeah.
I mean, did so in a pretty poor way of just going
Yeah.
on to a
To the
reality
reality
TV show,
show. Yeah.
admittedly. Okay. But then also, given what happens during that game with Jamie, the fact that they end the fans end that game, all the City fans end that game applauding Jamie and saying, "Oh, fair enough. You know what? He is only human." Never you would get that out of a City fan. Never. You would not get such humanity out of these
Only in
people.
the imaginary world of Ted Lasso.
Only in Ted Lasso would any self-respecting City fan, not that there are many of those, would sit there and go, "Well, I was
You know
booing you
what?
before, but now I'm going to applaud you. Now I
Yeah.
am. Now that we're losing the game." Absolutely not would they do that.
Oh
Not a
gosh.
chance.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
having any of it. But it's humorous. It's funny. It's predominantly a football-based episode as well. There's a lot
Mhm.
of game
Play.
action
Mhm.
here. But Jamie's whole storyline of going through it, a bit of
A bit of
severe
depression.
anxiety, a bit of
Yeah.
depression, real
Yes.
concerns are, they feel massively significant for his journey, and it takes the two people who have come to be the closest to him in Roy and Keeley to kind of get him back out
Help
of it a
him.
little bit and help
Yeah.
him out. And he goes to visit his mother, and this is the first time we've seen his mother in the whole
Yeah.
show,
Mhm.
who
And we've
is
heard that she's kind of the good side of him, that's kind of
oh yeah,
helped lean into this change in him, and his dad has kind of leaned into, like, that cocky kind of jerk he was when we first met him.
yeah. Um, his mother is as lovely as promised,
Yeah.
really.
And Roy has a
To
bit of fun with
him,
that.
he does. He definitely does. Um, she's very, very supportive. She seems to live a really happy life.
Yeah,
Um,
remarried somebody, who seems supportive and all that kinda thing, so
yeah, it was nice to see that he's got a genuine safety net
yeah.
there, and it wasn't just this thought of thing that came from childhood. Like Jamie has his mum there if he
That
needs
yeah,
her.
yes.
And he obviously doesn't have that with his dad, but there's an interesting little thing with his dad,
Yeah, that we do learn
in this
about him.
episode as well. We
Yes.
see him. Sorry, I am completely taking over this
Oh, no, no,
episode, aren't
no,
I?
no,
This is
no.
very unusual.
No, yeah, if you
You
have a
are,
lot to say about this show as the first time watcher, I want to hear it, so this is Morgan hasn't
yes. I
seen
mean,
TV.
I mean, it is. It is. It just feels unusual. I don't mean to completely take over
No.
everything, but we do see Jamie's dad in a rehab facility, and
Yeah.
I was quite surprised to see that. He's watching Richmond's game against City, we should say as well, that it's significant in the Premier League title race as well, this
Mhm.
game, as Richmond are very close to actually winning the whole thing, which also feels very significant. I mean, I wonder, I know it's not, I know it's a football show, but it's more of a character show, sure. But I wonder where all the talk has been of them actually potentially winning the league since before these final two episodes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had these. Oh, they're playing so well. Oh, they're on a good streak.
Streak, yeah.
Um, oh, aren't Richmond an exciting team to watch? But like, I want to see a physical table, please, of them keep climbing up it.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to see. Surely we
Yeah.
could have had that.
Yeah.
Um, rather than just being thrown with a press conference of, Roy, Beard, and Jamie before this City game, of them being asked, well,
How do you
a
feel
win
about the
here.
streak? Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about the streak? A win here would put you above City. the top of the league. How very exciting is that? I'm sat there going, where's this come from?
Yes, I wanna see this. Yeah.
I wanted to see all of that.
Yeah, well, we don't got
Total
time.
Football
We
was
only got
really
2
good.
episodes and all these
I
characters
know,
to kind of arc and develop before the end.
I
So,
know.
yeah. Yeah, there was a lot to do.
But there really was, but Jamie was massive, and he has just become such a favorite over the course, a slow favorite over the
Mhm.
course of the series as well, the course of the show.
Yay. Yeah.
Um, really, really culminating in this episode. This is Jamie's episode. It's Ted's episode, and it's Jamie's episode.
Yes, and, like, the fact that he gives Jamie some advice that ultimately then plays into how he talks to his mother at the end of the movie. Because Jamie, after he's injured, um, he is kind of trying to decide whether he should go back in or not. Ted says, "Yes, go back in if you're feeling like you can play." And, he keeps looking back and, Ted's like, "What are you looking for?" He's like, "I'm looking to see if my dad is there." It's just weird that he's not, because even though
Yeah,
he kind of, he's pissed at him, he doesn't necessarily want him there. It's just kind of been this routine of like knowing he's there, good or bad. Like he kind
not
of has
always bad, pretty much, but
yes. He kind of has depended on that. So not seeing him there is kind of weirding him out. And Ted asks him, like, what would you say to him if he was here? And he says, F you. Um, and Ted says, well, you should also, forgive him, you know, and you can thank him for, making, and his mom tells him to thank him, because his father was so terrible, it made him kind of become the person that he is now.
yeah.
And
It's a
kind of
backward sort of thank you. It's not a thank you in the sense of thank you for being such a great dad, because that's just
no,
silly. It
yes,
wasn't.
it's very much in, you being so terrible made me see that that's not what I wanna be, and I don't know that I would've,
Yeah.
really had that point hammered into me, and I wouldn't have worked so hard to not be that if I hadn't seen that firsthand and seen how it affects people firsthand. So all this kind of "F you, thank you, forgiveness," all kind of ends up being the same lesson for Ted by the end of the episode, which I really like. A funny
Yeah,
bit in
it's
this
very,
episode.
very therapizing for Ted, really, isn't it, to say this to his own
Yeah.
mother?
Yes, who her presence there makes him realize that, like, she never really processed,
Yeah.
dad's suicide. Like, she just kind of acted like everything was fine. So I thank you for kind of joking and trying to get my mind off bad things, but F you for not helping me process what happened, because I sat with it so long and it's made me in my own life. And then you see here also how she talks about therapy, and that's kind of where we see how maybe Ted got that way about therapy and how he was so against it. Because he's like, "Oh, I've been talking to someone. Have you?" And she's like, "Oh, did they tell you it was all my fault? Everything was my fault."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. She immediately kind of jumps to the typical, "Oh, I have mommy issues, and that's why I'm the way I am," and those kinds of things that, typical for, movie, TV, therapy conversations. Um, and so we get, that sense of that's where kind of, Ted got that from. And now that he has kind of learned how to process things, he's able to look at her with clearer eyes and be able to kind of formulate what he wants to say to her. And so I love that this lesson for Jamie is also a lesson for him, that he thanks her for all the good things she did for him, but he also is like, screw you for not helping me process this really difficult thing, because it affected me so deeply in so many other ways, in so many negative ways. um, so I like that she, was ultimately not defensive. She's very
Yeah.
receptive to it. She thanks him for telling her this, and she's also very much like, honestly, I just did not know what to do. Like, I didn't know how to handle it, and because I didn't know how to handle it, I just ignored it and just acted like nothing happened, because I honestly didn't know what to do. And you have to kind of think of a mom with a kid, suicide in the family, now you're a single mother instantly. How do you even cope? How do you even deal with that? And as somebody who's not really fully understanding the concept of therapy, you understand why she did what she did. And so I love that she does not get defensive with Ted. She's very receptive to what he's telling her, and she takes it in and she listens. And then she
Yeah.
admits that she's there to tell him that his son misses him. And so that kind of drives Ted's ultimate decision going into the next episode.
It
And he
does,
talks
and
about wanting
this
to
will
keep his son at arm's length because of, kind of everything that has affected him, in his growing up. And he has these fears about Henry. And, so yeah,
yeah,
we get into a lot of deep stuff here with Ted by the end of this episode.
an awful lot of deep familial stuff. It
Yeah.
is, you get the understanding, you get the reasons why he is familiarly the way he is.
Mhm.
He loves his family,
Yeah.
unquestionably
Mhm.
loves his family, but doesn't want anybody to get too close because, unless he can control the situation. I think that's why he likes chosen families.
Yeah.
That's why he seems to love chosen families. The whole story that we get, can't quite remember which episode it is, Beard telling Nate how Beard met Ted.
Yeah.
I believe it is this episode.
It is this episode, yeah.
That whole story, Ted chose Beard, ultimately. We
Mhm.
get that sense. And that's why him and Beard are like that. Him and Beard are never going to emotionally separate
Yeah.
because Ted chose Beard. Ted chose Richmond. Ted chose his old college team that we saw him dance about with in the
Yeah.
pilot episode.
Mhm.
Ted, he feels he has responsibility for these people, but it isn't the pressure of true born family and
Yeah.
things like that. True, kind of unchosen family. It's why he takes ages to process his divorce properly, because he chose his wife,
Yeah.
and that was then taken away from him.
Yeah.
Because he is the way he is, because he is the positive, outwardly optimistic person he is. All that comes from his mother as well, by the way. We see them as very, very similar people.
Yeah.
Stunningly similar people. I think everybody just loves his mother immediately.
Yes, but I love how
she introduces herself to everybody. It doesn't take him
No.
walking her around going, hi everybody, this is my mum. It's just Dottie will walk into a room and everybody will go, oh, you're Ted's mum. Just immediately.
Yes,
Without
because she jokes like
any.
him, but I love how
Yeah.
she jokes like him, and he gets annoyed by it. How people,
Yes.
first got annoyed by him, but she's, literally telling these goofy, layered, leveled, metaphorical kind of jokes like he does, and he just is, rolling his eyes or, getting into the minutia and logic of, what the joke actually was or what the story actually was and constantly correcting her, analyzing her joke telling or storytelling when he does the same exact thing. So it's funny to kind of see that dynamic of him get frustrated with someone the way people early on kind of got frustrated with him. So I
Yeah.
love getting to see these little glimpses that they are more alike than he kind of maybe wants to admit or realize, because at this moment he's still maybe holding on to a bit of that resentment for her. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But it really just feels like this massively fulfilling moment, though.
Mhm.
This dialogue between the two of them, the thank you, F you back and forth
Yeah.
that he kind of, tells her. And as you said, she is receptive to it. She takes it really, really well.
Mhm.
Um, and you get the sense that there's no longer an issue playing on either of their minds there now.
Yeah.
And yes, she's ultimately here for the purpose of, come back home, please, Ted. Your son misses you. This is significant. And
Yeah.
while I do feel it comes a little bit out of nowhere, I do,
Yeah.
to that level of extreme, because we can see this happens in sport, doesn't it?
Mhm. Yeah.
People travel all across the world all the time. People with families travel all across the world all the time and cope for years and
Mhm.
years and years and years.
Mhm.
This has been 3 years for Ted.
Yeah.
at Richmond, which isn't a small length of time, but isn't also a large length of time
Yeah.
in sporting terms to be away from home, away from a family,
Yeah.
for elongated periods. And it's not like he hasn't seen Henry,
Henry. Yeah.
a few times, sure, not very, very often, but a few times, and they talk, and it's, they have the
Mhm.
FaceTime calls
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
video calls or whatever it is, and all that is fine. So I do admittedly think that the "your son misses you, please come home," and then the accepting of it in the next episode, to the
Yeah.
degree where Ted makes the decision to actually leave Richmond, which is
Yeah.
massive,
Yeah.
is a little bit quick. I do think it comes a little bit quick. I think it's the right decision
Yeah.
show-wise, because that's why I think the finale works as perfectly as it does, because Ted leaves Richmond.
Mhm.
The pilot, Ted comes to Richmond. The finale, Ted leaves Richmond.
Yeah,
Which
he's
is
done
why
what
I'm
he needs
thinking,
to
what the
do.
hell's going on with a season
Yeah.
4?
It's very much like a Mary Poppins kind of situation. She does
Right?
what she needs to do. She charms his family. She brings them back together. She kind of puts the pieces back together, does her little magic, and then it's time for her to go, to move on to the
Yeah.
next thing. But yes, I mean, and for a show that is very good at kind of building up to things, that I definitely think there could have been more to build up to Ted's struggle with being away from Henry. There's always a little bit of that sprinkled in, but to
Yeah.
make that be the driving force behind his final decision, to the point where his mom feels like she has to go over there to implore him to come home, I think there needed to be maybe more building up, because they could have just put in things here and there throughout all of these episodes to build up to the fact that, Henry really is missing his dad. He's maybe struggling a little bit. We got in the fight
Yeah.
situation, but that seemed to be resolved fairly quickly. And Ted kind
Exactly.
of coped with that pretty well once, he saw that Henry was okay. So, yeah, I think more things to really hammer that point home, I think would have made it stronger, but obviously it still worked because it's a father going home to his kid. And that, like, it's
Yeah.
very, I think, formidable years for Henry, the age that he's at. So, and I also like getting that little glimmer of seeing, Michelle's boyfriend is not really all that
No, he doesn't
involved.
care for football at all, does he? I think
Yes.
does this come in this episode, or does it come in the
In in the final one.
finale?
In the finale. So, I guess maybe there's maybe a hint of, something there. So, we'll see, I guess, in season 4 if anything came of that.
I,
I don't know. But
I,
I wouldn't want Ted to
I
go back. I really wouldn't want him to go back.
no, I wouldn't. I must admit, I didn't read that as that way. I read that more of, this guy just doesn't get it, and it's that clear
Yeah.
opposing viewpoint
Yeah.
compared to how Michelle and Henry have fallen in love with the Premier League, as
Yeah.
opposed to how, what's his name, Jacob,
Yeah, Dr. Jacob,
has
yeah.
has just got no concept of it, and he's getting increasingly more bored as the
Yeah.
increasingly more intense
Yes.
match goes on and on
And
and
he
on.
already and he already walks in just kinda, like, not caring, and then we see him on his phone, and then
Yeah.
he's just like, let's watch this match," and it's gonna end in a tie. "Oh, wow, something's actually happening." Just
I mean,
sarcasm, talking
he
at the
does
big
make the
moments.
yes, he does make the obvious joke of, let's watch this game for 2 hours that's going to end 0-0.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
yes, okay, does happen. Funny, lets everybody laugh at the concept of no score.
Yeah.
If you watch that, go and watch, basketball, where it's 120 to 115 every game.
Yeah.
That's,
Yes.
that's fine.
So, I do like a glimmer of seeing him not be the best, which is kinda mean to say, but, like, mm. But yes, I don't need that to lead into a hint, and
No, I don't either.
I like that the show didn't try to play with some idea of him and Michelle getting back together. And just how do we feel with these kind of, I think the only really open-ended thing is that they did try to tease these little things with Rebecca and Sam. But then they
Well, this is
also
coming from the finale as well. This isn't specifically Mom City.
well, I mean, just generally with these 2
Yeah.
episodes. Um, but also they tried over, I think, the series as well, they tried to play or just kind of try to just mess with your mind a little bit and tease these maybe romantic things with Rebecca and Ted, which they do to great effect
Yeah,
in the beginning of this last episode, which was really funny.
they do.
So, I mean,
They
how did
like
that
they really do. It's shocking to a point. I'm
Yes,
thinking
there were
for a split
literally
second, I am
yes.
thinking, what has just happened?
Yes. So it's like, first, I think we got a little glimmer of this when they actually bonded when he has his first panic attack and she's kind of
Yeah,
really there for him. Then we get it even more when, Rebecca's talking to the anonymous person and immediately when she sends a message, they cut to Ted checking his phone and
yeah,
giggling. And then in this last episode, they really hammer it home when he kind of ends with "I have something to say," and then we open with Ted walking in to her kitchen, having slept
yeah.
there. So it's like, what do you think the purpose was? This purely for comedic effect,
I do
and
think that.
how did you like that joke, that kind of peppered in running joke over the series?
I mean, it's there just to make you think for that time, and I do
Yeah,
find this more overt example of it in the start of the finale.
yeah,
Admittedly the funniest because 10 seconds later Beard comes down wearing some sort of thong,
yeah.
so looking like he's on Magic Mike or some
Yes,
other
yes.
such stripper based movie we've been watching recently,
Yeah.
um, which is admittedly quite funny. I just think it is there as pure humor. I don't see anything to it because I don't see anything again with Rebecca and Sam and the small little peppers we've had of that as well,
Yeah,
especially given what happens at the very end of the finale
exactly. So
with
I don't
Rebecca
yeah.
when she runs back into the Dutch guy
Yeah,
who's a
so it's very
pilot.
much like Ted was played for jokes. Sam was played for just, I think, the shock value of it all because that never really went
Mm.
anywhere and it never really comes back and it never really was fully wholly resolved either.
No,
And they
and that was
still
a
pepper
shame
in
to a degree.
yes. So that was kind of the one storyline that I was really disappointed that kind of fizzled out. Even though, like, the episode with her and the Dutch guy and that chemistry was very steamy,
Yeah,
and I liked that because it was played into also her, kind of fortune that she got read and that whole kind of thing of, a child and this man and all that kind of stuff. So, love that for her, but also what was the kind of the point of Sam, other than, like, shock value? She's the boss, he's one of the players, he's way younger than her, she's older, and it's this steamy kind of
yeah,
fun little fling. Um, why even kind of go deeper into, like, real feelings developing if it was just going to be played for, like, what it was kinda thing. So, that was kind of a bummer, but, I digress. I just wanted to kinda hear your thoughts on these kind of, big things that kind of were teased and played around with and kinda get your thoughts on it. When we were talking about Jamie, I did just wanna mention the funny thing of seeing that ridiculous poster of Roy on his wall, and then when they, like, move the door a little bit
yes.
more, there's also a picture of Keely, and they're just like, "Okay, this is very
It's
weird."
the It is the weirdest thing how he's like how the people he is closest to now. He's admired in very different ways for
Yes.
years and years and
And the
years.
stepdad says, he's like, "Oh, so many posters have come and gone, but that Roy Kent
Yeah.
one has always been there." So the fact
It
that
is
he
the
was such
stupidest
an
poster as well.
ass
It's
to
a
Roy, it
terrible poster.
was
It's an
like this
awful
perm
poster.
with Roy with this, like, ridiculous perm. Like, and he's just like, "Oh god." But the fact that, like, when we first meet him and Roy, they're, like,
Oh, yeah.
so contentious and terrible. So the
Yeah.
fact that he was this huge fan of him, that all these posters came and went, but Roy's always stayed there, to kind of see the evolution of their friendship, it just kind of hits you a little bit harder when you see that ridiculous poster. So it's a very
It
great
does.
combination of what the show does best of humor with a really deep, impactful emotion, with
Yeah.
just this silly thing. It's so cute.
Yeah, and obviously regarding a bit more of the game in the Mum City episode, it's a wonderful football
Mhm.
scene. Jamie is on top form once he realizes that he's just got to relish getting under the City fans' skins,
Yeah.
and he does what I was dying for him to do. I was shouting at the screen for him to do, which is something I kind of always love. Like it's arrogant, it's hateable, but when it's your team, you
You
love
like
people
it?
doing this, and it's just the little ear touch, the little come on then,
Yes, let me hear it. I don't
I'm
yeah.
listening to you. Keep going, and it's just relishing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely pure confidence, and I loved that from Jamie. I
Yay.
really did. It was a very Jose Mourinho tactic, which ironically, when he's facing off against Guardiola, oh, what a rivalry that was.
Ooh.
But not that necessarily the name Mourinho doesn't mean anything to you. I don't even think he's ever mentioned in Ted Lasso, which is a little bit of a shame given how
Yeah.
significant a manager he is. They only really ever talk about Guardiola a bit, don't they? Because it's so City focused, and then West Ham, but no, those managers are actually real people.
No, but we do get I think we get kind of a fun little it's the end of the show, let's bring back kind of as many little things as possible. So we bring back, like, Rebecca
Yes.
and the
Let's get properly into the old finale then. It is called
yes.
So Long Farewell, and it's called that because the Richmond team, when they learn of Ted's decision to leave, it's very, very sad. There's a lot of sad,
Yeah.
wholesome emotion going on in this episode. It's incredible, and it's very, very touching. It genuinely makes you tear up,
Yeah.
unquestionably.
Yes.
But they do the So Long Farewells one from Sound of
The
Music,
music,
and
yes.
I find it hilarious that because at least they pronounce adieu properly,
Yes, even Danny, I was very
like it should be pronounced, a la Frederick in The Sound of Music,
Yes.
who pronounces it adieu and
Adieu.
not adieu, which most people pronounce it adieu, but no, he's
Yeah.
German, so they have to, or he's Austrian, so they have to pronounce it
Adieu.
adieu, which they all
Yes.
do. And it's a tiny little detail of
But
a
I like that
tiny
they
little
focused
part of the
on
movie
but
that
I
I
like
just
that
always,
I like that they had
you know,
Zorro do that part because he's he's the
I
sometimes
mean,
speaker.
yes, Zorro, who by the way does no longer want to go by Van Damme and instead now wants to go by Zorro, not Zorro,
Yeah.
Zorro, because he's got a new mask
Danny
from
gets
his
him a
nose
new
plate
yeah.
that he now looks like Zorro.
Yes, and
So
Danny gets it for him because Danny is the one who broke his nose. So I like the peace made there.
yes,
Well, in the last episode, we didn't talk about Nate at all.
we
um,
didn't
just
no, and
just to kind of
he
lead into
is obviously he
yeah.
has a
Whole
significant
situation.
past.
Yes, he's working at the Greek restaurant with Jade when some of the guys come in and ask him to come back, and he says, "Oh, Ted sent you." He's like, "No, Ted doesn't know. We just kind of wanted to see if you were willing to come back before we talked to Ted." And so that kind of like gets him not wanting to do it because he's like, "I Ted is the one I feel like I hurt the most. So
Yeah,
if he is not on board, I don't think I want to come back." So he fights that thing and he stays at the restaurant, but Jade knows, she overhears this and she knows like, no, this is what you're good at. I know this is what you actually want. You're just too scared to go for it. So she gets him essentially fired from there and
yeah,
convinces him to go back. And so he ultimately does. And I love that he just kind of accepts that the role of assistant kit man as opposed to kind of being a
yeah.
coach because he
He,
knows he messed up and he
he's
he
completely brought back down to earth, but he's humble in the moment to do that, and is totally relieved of his pettiness. in
Yes.
internally, basically. That does not exist within Nate anymore. Now that he saw who Rupert is for who Rupert really is,
Yeah.
um, we're waiting for the public to see Rupert as Rupert really is,
Yes.
and doesn't that come
Boy,
in
does
glorious
yes.
fashion?
Yes, I love that because this show about kind of doing the good thing and turning the other cheek and this whole kind of thing, I think maybe there would have been some fear. Did you have some fear that they were not going to give Rupert the retribution that we were relishing? Because this show is kind of about going high, when people go low kind of thing.
It
So,
is. It is, yes, and especially given that only a few episodes ago we got a little glimmer of humanity from Rupert as well. But
yes, with Rebecca kind of bonding. Yeah.
that was obviously just a tease
Yeah.
because he has fundamentally always been the true villain of this show.
Yes, but I think it works because he is the kind of the one who ruins his own situation. Because we
He
see,
is, yeah,
Bex learns about him cheating, and the 2 women actually go to Rebecca for advice.
yeah,
And when she caught him cheating, she doesn't tell Bex, she could come ruin him right there, but she tells him, "Bex is awesome, what is your problem? Stop it right now." And she tries to
yeah,
warn him to stop, and he doesn't, to the point where now he has to fire his receptionist that he's cheating with and hire somebody else. And so I think it works because he kind of is the one who does it. Nobody, sets
yeah.
him up. Nobody retaliates against him. He has unraveled his own kind of and shown everyone his terribleness. That
Rupert's totally in control of every situation he's in, and he
yeah,
always chooses the wrong way. That
yes,
is the villainous nature of him. That is why he is
yes, and
the
Nate,
true villain of the show. And it was never Nate. It was
yeah.
Nate was the puppet to
Yes,
Rupert.
and Nate kind of figured that out, that, Rupert was kind of just using him in a lot of ways, and he wasn't gonna get the same thing that he was getting with Ted. And I do love that beard scene that we did get at the end of that,
Mm,
because I feel like I would have been very much like Beard, like the last one to
yeah.
stay petty. The last one to stay petty would be me. Like
Beard as a character as well, though, is someone that I think it takes a little bit of time to grow, for him
Mhm,
to grow on you.
yeah.
But then when he does, you're just in, and he's like your favorite person in every
Yes.
scene.
Exactly. So I do like that, like, I related to Beard in that moment, like, "If you bring him back, I will burn this place to the ground." Like, "You hurt the people I love, you hurt me, like, I'm done with you, and,
Yeah.
you lost out on a really good friend, so screw you
Um,
until the end of
and
time."
obviously, we learn how significant that feeling truly is for Beard, given what Ted did for him. Beard was in a really, really bad place. Beard was in
Yes.
prison. Beard was, a young kind of delinquent
Yeah,
person, really a
drug addict,
criminal, a
essentially,
drug
yeah.
addict, a real, troubled guy
Yeah.
who stole Ted's car after Ted, invited him. They
Took
were
him
old
in.
college
Mhm.
football. They were on the college football team together.
I love that they
Barely
compare it
played
to Les
because they were
Mis,
like
and he calls him yeah.
inexplicably they do compare it to Les Mis, which is
I
odd.
stole a
But
loaf of meth.
yes, of course you did, Beard. It makes sense for Beard, and of course
Yeah,
this is Beard's history as well. By the way, we also learn
yeah.
his real name, which I don't think we've ever learned before.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
He and Ted's final scene together when Ted's going when they're going home on the plane, and Beard reveals that he doesn't want to go back to
Yeah,
America. He wants to stay here. He
yeah,
wants to stay in London.
with
And
Jane.
Beard's name is apparently Willis, which does that fit, or does Beard fit the name Willis?
I mean,
That's a question to ask. Everybody,
yes,
comment down
yes,
below. Does Beard
yeah.
fit the name Willis?
Yes, but I
Um,
do like how, Ted tells him, like, "God forbid we don't, we only judge people on kind of their worst moments kind of thing." And that
yes.
clicks for him, and he's like, damn it, I have to forgive him
Yeah.
because I'm somebody who was given a second chance. So he
Yes.
goes to Nate and forgives him and says, "Come back," kind of thing. And so that's
But
when
in this
Nate does.
very, very emotional scene as well, though, in this very, very heartfelt scene between Beard and Nate,
Yeah.
because Beard, you know, pours out his soul, pours out his story at this point, and we
Yeah.
learn how significant, you know, Beard's struggles were, and we learn
Mhm.
how significant Ted was to helping Beard get back on track and become the person he is today.
Mhm.
That wouldn't have been possible without Ted. So, yes, how dare you betray the greatest man I've ever known?
Yeah.
But also, he has forgiven you, so I must
I
forgive
just
you.
forgive you. Yeah, he gave me a second chance, so I'm, paying that forward and giving you a second chance as well. But yes, I would have totally been Beard, like holding on to that petty for as long as possible. Because if you hurt people I care about, if you hurt me, like
I
scorched
mean,
earth.
I do. Do we like that Beard stays in England to marry Jane
At
and
Stonehenge.
at Stonehenge in the most green screen, horrible looking CG mess of Stonehenge I've ever seen in my entire life,
Yes.
in some
But
sort of odd
also
pagan ceremony?
yes, but also it's like I said, all these random kind of people coming back, like the lady in the pants and her boyfriend, they're at the wedding as well,
Right.
and I think they have a baby. Um, so yeah, I mean, it didn't look great, but I think it was meant to be this kind of goofy,
Looked
silly
frankly
thing.
awful. It was
Yes.
definitely supposed to be silly. It's obviously supposed to be
Yeah.
silly, but it looks frankly terrible.
Yes. I
Um
mean, Danny with 2 girls, like, all this kind of goofy.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
it
more of a
felt
Richard point, isn't it? I feel like he should be the one with two girls.
well,
The
no, we even
French
woke up
player.
with Danny in bed with 2 girls, like, that was something
Oh no,
we'd seen. Yeah,
I
I
know.
think
I
3
just don't.
girls
I
maybe
just don't.
even.
I don't buy it from Danny. Like I buy it from Richard, the French player, because he's always talking about that kind of thing. Danny's just. I know we've seen it before. Danny's just too wholesome. Danny's the kind of person who doesn't have women around because he just cares about football. Football is life. How can football be life if women are also life, Danny?
Well, he's not
There's a
saying
bit
that.
of
He's not making
contradiction
he's
there.
not it doesn't seem to be making any life commitments to these women, so
No, he's not making any life commitments at all. But I thought football was life, which means he's doing nothing but football, and he's clearly doing more than just football. I'm just saying that.
needs
That's
to
my
be
point there, Danny.
extracurriculars, extracurriculars.
He's an old man, Danny Rojas. He
Yes.
snaps when he plays for Mexico, and he snaps back into
He is
I love
he's
everyone when
an
he plays for
eclectic
Richmond.
he's an eclectic man.
He
Um,
he is. They're all eclectic when you think about it. Him, Zorro, or Van Damme, or whatever the hell he wants to be called now.
yes, 20 different things.
Um,
But
Jan Mass, and he's just stating the obvious at every possible opportunity. Everybody.
yeah, and, like
McAdoo has become more of a significant character as
yes, he gets a
time's gone
huge
on.
moment at the end of this
He does.
whole thing, because, every time they tried to have kicks with him, he was, like, too strong, kicking it too hard, too much power, but they, put the faith in him to take this penalty kick, and they give him the ball, and he's really nervous to do it. Everyone's like,
They
"What
do.
are they doing?" And he does it, and it seems to
Why?
have too much
What are they
power.
doing? That
Yes. And it seems to have too much power and go over the net, but then they would realize, no, it was so powerful, it went through the net, and he makes it,
th-
so
this is also the stupidest thing I've ever. In fact, this isn't the stupidest thing. The stupidest thing about the whole finale isn't Beard and Jane marrying at Stonehenge. Isn't Isaac taking a penalty that goes through the net. It is the presence of Mike Dean. That is the stupidest thing about the finale. Mike Dean is the referee of this game against
okay.
West Ham.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen a referee in the rest of Ted Lasso? No, you haven't, have you? Yet Mike Dean in this finale gets a few significant speaking lines and scenes where he's, full shot of him doing something or saying something to someone. Because Mike Dean always has to make it about himself. mean, this is a very famous concept in the
Okay.
Premier League, right?
Well, maybe that's just,
Every time
another inside football joke.
yeah, 100% it is. Obviously, it was going to be if they wanted a referee, a Premier League referee, it couldn't have possibly been anybody else because I can imagine Mike Dean going, "Me, please pick
I
me,
wanna do
pick
it.
me, pick me. I want to do it. I'll do it." Okay, Mike, you'll do it again. Makes it about himself every time. Annoyingly and famously, and he
Aw.
made this about himself as well because he's giving it the big un to about the penalty and overturning an offside goal that
Oh,
Ted
yeah.
correctly calls an offside goal on VAR. So I was quite pleased with
Okay,
Ted
well, he's
for
learning,
his
yeah, he's at
tactical
the
insights
final
there.
game, he's finally learned a little
But
something.
this West Ham game is crazy as well. Though. This West Ham game is all over the place in terms of football game. What on earth? I mean, we've spoken about Rupert. We've not even told, we've not even spoke about exactly what he does. Is he comes
Oh,
down onto the pitch
yeah,
and
with his
decides to
all
push
black, his
George Catrick over,
yes, his coat
who is
billowing.
inexplicably hired as the new West Ham manager,
Yes, because
considering he's
he needs
useless.
yes, but he needs somebody, anybody, so, last minute kind of selection there. He's also in the news for being terrible to Bex and this whole kind of thing, so things
Yes.
are not going for him publicly. He goes down there perfectly villainous, his coat billowing in the breeze, all
This is
black.
never a good look. Whenever
Yes.
this happens in professional football, it is always met with real negativity.
Yeah.
Owners should stay away from the pitch, stay away
Yes.
from the football.
Yes, and so he's very much he tells the coach to get Jamie out, and we know what that means, and he refuses to do it. And so
Well,
he
Rupert turns into John Kreese from The Karate Kid for about
yes,
3 seconds,
exactly,
doesn't
he
he? Really?
does. He pushes
Sweep
him
the
down.
leg.
Yeah, exactly. He pushes him down, and then we get another joke about his weird balls that we got in the first episode.
Yes, yes. Why does George Catrick's balls keep falling out? Why does Mike Dean tell him to put them away? Why is Mike Dean on screen again?
Oh my god. Yes, he does. And so everyone gets to see, and then now another callback. Who are they calling wanker? They're calling him. So then
Yes,
that rant
Rupert,
starts.
very
Yeah.
good.
Yes, and he just looks totally ashamed. And I love that Sassy, she like is just having the best time. Like Rebecca's looking like she actually feels kind of she looks kind of horrified, like what just
She
happened.
does.
She looks like she does feel maybe a little bit bad for him, but Sassy's just like Sassy and Beard are like two very shameful facets of my personality.
Oh, they're one and the same, really. I mean, I think that's why Ted likes both of them
Yes.
because they are one and the same. And in a better world, I think Beard would have ended up with Sassy because then
Yeah.
they could have just been great. But Ted was the one, you know, in a fling with Sassy. And
Yeah.
is Jane ever really good for Beard? No.
No.
But he's with her anyway, and now they're
Yes.
married. So
Yes.
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, but Sassy's fun. Sassy's fun as well. But this is a serious, significant, properly villainous moment for
Yeah.
Rupert. The climactic villainous moment for Rupert.
Yeah.
And it comes to a point when even after George picks himself up off the ground and Rupert's, been abused off the pitch and down
Yeah.
the tunnel again, and the game carries on, that he and Ted even share a little nod with each other.
Like,
It's
yeah.
just an understanding kind of "you okay"
Yeah. Like, yeah.
kind of nod. Because George has been nothing but hateful towards Ted for 3 seasons.
Oh, yeah. On that show and commentating on him and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's nice to see that kind of related moment after a crazy thing just happens. Um, But yeah, I think this game kind of delivers on everything you would expect in your
Yes.
finale. And it's still not perfect because ultimately they come in second place by the end of everything, but it's still just like a winning moment for this team. Crazy things happen. Players who haven't
Yeah.
had moments get moments. We get a lovely kind of callback to what Colin had said, when everyone runs on the pitch to kiss their gal,
Yes.
I want to kiss my fella, and his guy comes and we
Yes.
see him, pick up his ticket. And so we know kind of that's probably what's coming, and he gets to kiss his
Yeah.
guy on
Nice
the
pitch
pitch.
invasion. We
Yes,
we we,
yes.
we like a good pitch invasion because obviously this game against West Ham, it could, Richmond could have won the league by winning this game, but it
Yeah.
was dependent on the City score
Yeah.
in
So it had nothing to do with
European.
them and their
Had
play,
nothing to do
not
with them
not being.
personally. They did
Yes,
all they could.
yes,
They
and
did
it
all they
was
could eventually. It was a comeback
yeah.
win. It was a massive, massive back and
And
forth
yes, and
game.
a win against obviously like our villain team, like
Yeah,
Rupert.
of
It's what
course.
Rebecca wanted, but at this point she didn't care about it anymore. So I think it probably felt that much more great because she
Yeah.
wasn't coming at it from that angle anymore. So it felt
Well,
that
it's
much
why
more pure
it
for her. Yeah,
yeah, it's why Rebecca's having these concerns over selling the
selling.
club as well.
Yeah.
Higgins comes to her and to talk about all this. What were your intentions of buying the club in the first place? It was all about to get back at Rupert. You no
Yeah.
longer care about that. Does this still matter is this still, a part of your life? Because it's not what it was at the beginning.
Mhm.
Ultimately, she makes the decision to sell 49% of the club
Yeah.
to the fans,
Yeah.
which is a great thing. Always a wonderful thing when clubs do this as well.
Yeah.
Um, Far too few clubs do this. So it's always really, really beautiful news because she had that big monologue about football being for the
Yeah.
people and football being
And
for the
wanting to
fans a
keep it.
couple of
Yeah.
episodes ago
Mhm.
when Edwin Akufu came with the Super League talk.
Yeah.
It's all very true to life. All
Yeah,
this is very,
that's
very true to
great.
life
I
as well.
like that. I like that.
Um, so I love that Rebecca does that because I love that she's still there
Yes.
as majority owner, but the fans have
A huge stake. Yeah.
next to a half stake
Yeah.
in the club, which
Yeah.
is the best way of going about things. As far as football club ownership is concerned,
Mhm.
it's absolutely perfect. But no, they don't win the league. And it brings up the question again of what do you like about what do you want in your sports movies or sports shows?
Yeah.
Do you want the team you're following to be the victors in the end, or do you want them to be the respected runners up? The
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa,
Yeah.
in Rocky. Not in Rocky 2 or Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 or
Yes.
any other Rocky.
Any other Rocky, just the
Um,
first one. We did
just the
that.
first.
Okay, we had a nice little humbling little ending. We're not gonna do that
Yes.
again.
Um, do we prefer that? Because we don't see there and then that they haven't won the league.
Yeah.
Nobody tells us. It's not said. The
No.
game ends. They win the game. Mike
Yeah.
Dean blows his whistle on full viewers again. There's a pitch invasion. Colin
Yes.
kisses his boyfriend. It's all very nice.
Yeah.
Very good. We're very happy about everything that's going on. We're there going, what's the City score? What's the City? Tell me the City score. You're not telling me what the City score is. Do we see them win the league? Are we going to fade to black and then fade back in and they're holding the trophy? No, we're not. We fade to black and we fade back into Ted at the airport buying a
Yes.
newspaper
And seeing. Yeah.
and speaking to a fan of saying,
That
sorry,
same
it didn't
guy
quite
though,
work.
this
Yeah, the
guy that
same annoying
red
guy who's
who
always
always
been
wants
pestering
selfies
people.
with everybody, who's just popping in. I think he ends up being like the son of the dentist that Roy ends up taking his niece to when she has like the
Yes.
gingivitis or whatever. So yeah, this guy has
Yes.
popped up several places. I think, he was there when Jamie was getting a haircut. Like he's just been
Yeah.
this random, because yeah, so that last episode was really like made a point to just kind of pepper in characters we've kind of met along the way. The guy that Rebecca dated who ended up getting engaged to that woman, he's at the game, he ends up getting hit in the face with
Yes, he
Isaac's
does. He
with
does.
Isaac's ball, and he's
Isaac's
like super
penalty.
celebrate. Yes, and he's bleeding everywhere. And Barbara, Keely's
Oh, Barbara
office.
loves blood, apparently.
Yes, yes, she gets all excited. Finally, she's just like,
It's all Barbara's wanted the entire time. Is just
yes,
blood.
yes,
Um, to which
yeah.
she gets multiple questionable looks, especially from Keely next to her.
Yes, her excitement for this. But yeah, we learn at the airport from that, selfies guy that yeah, they made it in
Yeah.
second place. And
Obviously,
um
City won the league. Well, they
yes.
didn't win it last year, but at the time when Ted Lasso, they were on like 4 in a row, so it just
Okay.
made sense to
So it
have
made
City win.
sense. Yes. And
It's
then
very
he's
annoying.
yes. And then he sees Rebecca, who just bought a ticket so she could give him a proper goodbye. And it's just funny, like
Yes.
you bought a first class ticket, just she's like, it's force of habit. Like
Yeah,
uh,
that's not as endearing as you think it is, Rebecca.
right. And so she gets a really
That money
proper
could have gone to some charitable organization.
something, yeah, right. But so that she's able to kind of give him a proper goodbye, because she does have a moment in the stadium, because like we see the opening credits every time him sitting in the stands, and so we actually get
Oh,
that
yeah.
visual in the episode
Yeah.
when she kind of gives her last S. She's like, I knew you were going to say no, but I had to try. So she's like, Henry could come here, he'd go to nice schools, Michelle could come here and teach, and it would be great, and I could get you, significantly higher pay and all these things. And she's like, I know, I just had to try, kind of thing.
I think
Um
Ted, there's a great line from Ted, and he says, "There's no place like home, but there's not many places like
Places
AFC
like
Richmond either."
yes, which was really lovely, obviously, because he's from Kansas, so it's, like, perfect for him to kinda
Yes, it
drop lines
works,
like
doesn't
that.
it?
Yes, works perfectly. And, like, you kind of mentioned it earlier that Ted does kind of like to keep people at arm's length, like, he obviously really cares about them, but he's very precious about that. So, I could see why maybe his goodbyes to everyone and his moments to everyone didn't maybe on the surface feel incredibly gratifying, because he's not overly emotional when he's saying goodbye to everybody. But that's
Yeah,
just kind of
I think that's because he doesn't ever want to say goodbye because he always thinks he'll see them again. It's a
yes.
farewell, it's
Mhm.
not a goodbye.
Yes, and so that's why I kind of, because I think when I first watched, on my first watch through, I felt like, why is he not getting more emotional about this? Because I'm so emotional about this.
Yeah,
I'm a
and
mess.
so
When
was
they
I.
when they kind of take the things that he's done, when he was showing, the the boy band dance and all these other kind of silly things, and
Yeah,
on their own they came up with this thing for him. Why is he not more emotional? Even in the scene with Nate is breaking down, apologizing and all of this stuff, and Ted is just, not really breaking down. And it's
yeah,
only really until this Rebecca goodbye that we see him kind of, well up a little bit.
yeah.
Um, but because I think he's finally realizing that even though this may not be goodbye for him, he fully intends to see these people again. It's not going to be the same. Like his day to day is not
Yeah.
going to be this. Um, and I think even when he says that line about AFC Richmond, like I think that's when it really hits him that things are not going to be fully the same. But on my first time watch, I remember just being kind of sad, like he wasn't getting more emotional in these moments, these goodbye moments, because I was getting so emotional about it. And then, on second, third rewatch now, you realize that's just kind of Ted. Like he
It is.
never wants to, he always wants to be the positive force. So even in an emotional goodbye, no matter what he's feeling, and just kind of wanting to keep a bit of a wall up, is always going to be a part of him, to always kind of, focus on the other person, listen to the other person, focus on the other person's emotional thing and not take away from that. And that's why he kind of was how he was through all of those goodbyes. And then we finally see him break a little bit in this final
Mm.
goodbye with Rebecca. So,
But by far the most emotional scene, though, is when each member of the team pulls out a sliver
oh
of
my
ripped up
gosh. Yeah,
Believe
because it's
sign.
halftime. It's halftime and they're down. And yeah, they all because he kind of looks because that was kind of him and Nate's conversation. They're looking at that blank space. And Ted
Yeah,
kind of says, even though it's not there, I can still kind of see it. And Nate apologizes for ripping it up. Ted says, "Oh, I ripped it up even more because I felt like we don't, in this moment, you took it down, you ripped it in half, and we had to kind of move forward from that. So we had to just know that like the message of that sign is in us, so we don't need to see a visualization of it.
yeah,
But now it's like the end, it's the last game. They're down, it's halftime. What are they going to do? This is Ted's last moment, all of this." And so he's about to say something about believe.
well,
We have
he
he's
unconsciously points at it.
yes, and it's not there. And that's
Yeah,
when each person kind of pulls out a piece of the sign. We see, Jamie was keeping it like in a journal, and
yeah,
Isaac was keeping it under his captain's strap, and like even where they
yeah,
were kind of keeping it was a little special place and that kind of thing. And so
yeah.
and it also plays into Rebecca's moment with the fortune teller. I can't remember what that technique is called, with the broken glass. I think like that Japanese technique of like something's broken and you use gold to put it
Oh,
back
I know what
together.
you mean. Yeah, I don't know the
Yes.
term.
Yes, that was part of the fortune, that woman telling Rebecca about that technique, um, to make it come back stronger and more beautiful and like a new piece of art. When ultimately they put the sign back together at the end, when we're
Yeah,
going through the montage of where everyone is, Nate, paint, resident artist of the of the crew,
yeah,
he uses gold paint to fill the spaces and put the sign back together with gold paint. So
yes.
it's calling back to that.
Well, it needs to be back up there because Nate's back involved in the coaching setup. Beard's
Yes.
still assistant coach. And who is the new coach of Richmond? Roy Kent.
Roy Kent. Yay. Yes, yes. So it's great to see that he's the new manager and yeah, things are going to keep going. The little
The
montage
proposal
as
for the women's team as well that Keeley
yes,
brings
which is
is
it's
significant.
seemingly what is going to play into season 4 in the little bit that they gave
Yeah,
us, something about Ted maybe coming back to coach a women's team. So,
but
um
why would he come? This is where I'm thinking because I've also heard that about Ted coaching
yeah,
a women's team. Why would he come back to coach Richmond's women's team? Because the whole point of the finale was leaving Richmond.
I don't know.
So if he
I don't
wants to
know.
coach a women's, fine,
Yes, I don't
that's
know if it's
fine.
Richmond. I don't know if it's Richmond, but just this thing of announcing a women's team,
Just seems a
like
happy coincidence. Just seems a happy
yes,
coincidence.
exactly. So we don't know what if it's going to be Richmond's team, but that's what the kind of little synopsis said, that he was going to come back to coach a women's team. So I forgot that was in this ending, this little tease of that.
Yeah.
But yes, as Rebecca is leaving the airport from the goodbye, a little girl kind of falls in front of her and she goes to help her. She Pilot comes and who's her dad and says,
Yes.
"Oh," and it turns out to be the
The Dutch
handsome Dutch guy.
guy.
Yes, and they lock eyes, and then in the little montage we see barbecues happening, and her and him
Oh,
together,
yes.
and Roy's niece and his daughter playing together, and Roy's niece sitting on Keely's lap. So we don't get a confirmation that Keely and Roy are back together, because we did also get the two, both Roy and Jamie not wanting to relent and back down on going after Keely, and they ultimately get
Yes,
into like a
and
fist fight
get in a
about it.
fight.
Go to her house and say, "You choose right now." And she's like, "Oh, you're gonna let me choose, huh? How
Yeah.
sweet of you.
Get
No,
out.
get out." Yes, and they're like, "That was a really dumb thing." Yes, it was really dumb. Let's go get something to eat. So we love that, the friendship still continues with the three.
Yeah.
Nothing has been kind of decided. I think I want her with Roy. I liked her with Roy.
I do want her with Roy. I think that's the better fit. Speaking
Yeah.
of Jamie, though, we also actually do see him go and visit his dad in
Yeah.
rehab,
Yes, and they're looking at pictures, and they
which
seem to be getting along well, and it's
that's
nice.
crazy to me as
That's
well,
huge.
though.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Yeah.
I would in a season 4, I would want to see more of that relationship in, try and rebuild,
Mhm,
because I don't see why Jamie would have even wanted to go without any. Because the way they ended things at
mhm.
Wembley,
Yeah,
it was that massively significant moment. Would he ever want to see that man again, no matter what he was doing? In my
yeah.
mind, no.
No,
So
yeah.
this, the fact he's gone into rehab must be massively significant. I think I just need more depth of that.
Yes, but I think the fact that his father is even admitting that he has a problem and he took the steps to go and fix it
Yeah,
himself, and we see him in rehab, we see him, you know, a cheering on Jamie from there. We get that conversation with his mom, telling Jamie that he's not really going to change. So then, we see him seemingly changing. That kind of is a bit of a contradiction
yeah,
there. But I think it's a big thing. I think it works, especially since, in these last episodes we're hammering home this whole concept of second chances and that kind of thing. So yes, we do see Sam. He joins the Nigerian team, so he gets what kind of he always
yes.
wanted to represent his people. Um,
Akufu's got no say in that.
yes, no, not at all. So yeah, everyone kind of ends in a really nice place, and then we kind of see Ted coming home, and uh, he's coaching Henry's team.
Yeah,
And as we talked about, we're watching when they were watching the game, Michelle and his son and the boyfriend, and he was kind of not engaged. And then when we're at this soccer game for Henry, he's not there at the soccer games, just Michelle in the stands. So, uh,
yeah.
yeah,
It's a weird one. It's a weird one with
yeah,
Jacob, whatever his name is.
yeah, Dr. J.
Um, Maybe he's not all that,
Yeah,
but
no, he didn't
I,
seem.
I, I wouldn't want I wouldn't want Ted to go back either. So
Yeah, so I don't know where that would end up, but yeah, he reminds Henry to be a goldfish when he doesn't make a goal. So it's very much, still that same technique that he's bringing. We also get to see um, uh, Trent Crimm's book, The Lasso Way.
yes,
He leaves copies for Ted and Beard to read. When he looks at Beard's copy, all these little colored post-its and notes. And Ted's is like, "I loved it, but please just change the title. It was never, it's not about me. It never was." So then he
not
changes
even
the book.
talked about Trent Crim at all in
Yes.
this
We get a lot of love
episode.
for his hair in this episode. Oh, we also get
And
Roy
from Ted's
finally.
mother, yes.
We also get oh well no, even when they're talking about perfect things in this kind of
Oh
final.
yes, I mean it is a perfect thing. I think Trent Crim's hair to be honest.
Yes. Roy joins the Diamond Dogs when he's asking advice
He
about Keely
does,
because Keely and him hooked up a month prior, and so he's still trying to figure out what that means. If because he was about to tell her on Jamie's bed that he wants to be more than friends, and she takes his hand, and then Jamie walks in, so they can't really talk about it.
yeah,
So he's kind of confused, so he asks for their help, and he does a little rough as well, which is very cute. But yes, Trent's book, he ultimately ends up releasing it, and we see it at a signing, and he's named it The Richmond Way. So, yeah, I think that's kind of all the
yes, it's
little
very
moments
nice.
that we've had in this finale, and more to come, I guess, with this season 4 filming now. So we will
More to
be back
come,
at some
but
point. Yeah.
we will. More to come, but no more for now. I really genuinely do think it is a perfect bow tying finale. It
Yay.
makes a point of being a bow tying finale,
Yeah.
of this enormous montage we get at the end of it, of going through every single person we've remotely been a character, who's remotely
Yeah.
been a character,
Yeah.
um, and showing us how it all ends. I've said this at the beginning. I don't. I have concerns, and that's not from the show not being good. That is just this finale being so pristinely perfect as a finale of a television show
Yeah.
that I think many people would be, forgiven for not going to watch season 4 of Ted Lasso, for being content with that
With how
3-season
they got.
story as
Yeah.
being the story. It
Yes.
would make sense to me. I think that's happened before with shows,
Mhm.
when it's come back for some sort of seemingly silly follow-up that didn't need to happen
Yeah.
necessarily. Season 4 needs to do something very special to live up to
E
season 3.
exactly, and then, like, I did compare it to Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4, and while I don't think Toy Story 4 needed to be made, I think they found a way to give us something to close out something that had been developed through those 3 films. Because all the every no even if it wasn't kind of, like, said outright, every Toy Story film was about Woody's mission to save toys, to take care of toys, to fix toys, and that kind of thing, and give them a life, a continued life. That was always the most
Yeah,
important thing to Woody. And so Toy Story 4 takes that and gives Woody that mission in life to continue, gives him that purpose and puts him in a position where he can continue to do that and give toys this life to live on and save toys as he's been doing across the 3 films. So they found a way to, even though making this movie that felt unnecessary, making it connect to the other 3 films in a very strong and purposeful way, and something that was delivered throughout those 3 films. So, I mean, if this season 4 can do that, give us these characters, give them another place to go, an interesting place to go that feels like it has purpose and feels like it can deliver on more wonderful messages of kindness and caring and conflict and mental health and all these great things, then I'm happy to see them again, 'cause I do
yeah.
I have missed them, and I've realized how much I've missed them on this rewatch, so
Well, I echo that. I can't say it clearer or more eloquently than that. But I would also remind you, isn't there a 5th Toy Story movie now as well?
yes, I
What the
believe
hell's
there is.
going on? What's going on there? We don't need to question that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. For Talking Ted Lasso, for now, on
Yes.
Morgan Hasn't Seen TV. What a journey it has been. It has been
Yes.
everything I expected and wanted it to be, Janine, I think. And I've thoroughly enjoyed Ted Lasso. What a great show. You were not wrong in your assumptions of my fondness for Ted Lasso, I think. Before we do wrap things up, ever so slightly though, let's
Yes.
do a little bit of announcement into what
Yes.
is coming next. And that is what is coming next. That is
Yay!
my nice new thumbnail that I have made for diving into Doctor Who. This is New Who as well, celebrating its 20th anniversary of its return this year.
Yay!
Obviously, Doctor Who is a messy beast. Doctor
Yeah.
Who has a messy fandom. Doctor Who doesn't know where it's at, even now. This isn't about all that. This is about going back to the start of the reboot that is also the follow-up, that is the continuation that some people call Doctor Who, some people call New Who, but some people call this season 1, but how can you call it season 1 when it's the 9th Doctor? It's very, very confusing.
It's
Ultimately, we
wibbledy,
don't need to get
timey-wimey.
into the lore necessarily.
No! And why you tease that it was a partial Janine hasn't seen situation is because I've seen the 9th Doctor era, and I
Which is
became
only one season.
yes, and I became so in love with Eccleston's Doctor that I think I went maybe 3 episodes into Tennant, and then I was like, "I miss Eccleston," and then I stopped watching. Not that Tennant was bad, I just got so comfortable in the 9th Doctor that I just could not bring myself to move on. that I only ended up, I think, watching about 3 episodes of Tenet, and then I stopped. So I have not seen well into Tenet and beyond.
Yes. There we go. That's the rundown. Admittedly, you haven't seen it in quite a long time.
No, I
either,
have not
you?
even seen the Ninth Doctor era in at least, I don't know, a good amount of years. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, we'd like to say over 10 years, probably.
Yes,
it's been,
probably.
so
Yes, I would say. Yeah.
you will be being introduced to things. This is very, very exciting. I
Yeah.
am certainly a big fan of the new Doctor Who era, up to a point where I personally fell off as well, and have never continued. And whether we end up there on diving into Doctor Who is to say.
Yes.
But I'm certainly massively familiar with
Yes.
with 2005 to about 2012 Doctor
Okay.
Who. I am
It's a good
massively familiar with.
Okay.
It is. But there we go. That is what is coming next on Janine Hasn't Seen. On this show every other Monday, of course, alternating with Discovering Dawson's Creek, which you can find here as well. Subscribe, ding your notification bell on this YouTube channel. All the fun stuff has been scrolling down at the bottom of the screen, all episode long. Links for the social media, the Patreon donation, merch, all the fun stuff is in the description of this episode. And until next time, Ted, farewell, I guess. Janine, count us down.
3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Adieu.